Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn topic 2 PHP Basics Part 1. So to develop web application, we need two languages. One is for designing web page, and so we learned about HTML. But user interface is not enough. You have to develop certain logics behind the user interface. For example, if you click the button on the web page, something happened, and you must add this logic, the process, as a part of your web application. So for this, we need a programming language, and we are going to use PHP for this purpose. So I divided this PHP into two parts, so part 1 and part 2. So since it's not programming course, I will not cover everything in PHP, but I will teach you a kind of selective topics that are essential for web development, particularly for database connection and handling. So let's start with the first part. First of all, what is PHP? So PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. And many people say PHP is a server-side scripting language. So you may not know ASP, but ASP is very similar language. That is also server-side scripting language. So what this server-side means? Server-side means if you develop some applications, think about a web page. You are seeing this web page in your browser. So the browser is a kind of client machine. So in your local machine, in your laptop or desktop, you open the browser and you request any web page to the server, and the server sends you back the web page. So you are seeing this web page in the client browser. The client browser, like web browser, can also run some programs. Typical one is JavaScript. But this PHP is not run in your browser, but this PHP is processed in the server side. Later, with one example, you may better understand, but at this point, let's just summarize like this. When you see the web page, you are communicating with the server. In our case, it's Valhalla machine. So if there is any program, some programs can be run in the browser or client machine, but some programs can be run on the server side, or in our case, Valhalla server. Particularly PHP, this is run on the server. And in that server, we have a engine, so programming engine, and this engine can execute those programs. PHP supports many databases. So particularly in our class, we use MySQL. Not only MySQL, like Oracle database and some other commercial database softwares, PHP supports very well. And PHP is an open source software. Therefore, there is no commercial license, and we can use this for free. Then, if there are several options, if there are several programming languages, why we chose PHP as our development language? First of all, PHP runs on different platforms, including Windows, Linux, Unix, etc. In our server, we install the Linux as an operating system. But even for your machines, like Windows machines, you can easily run this PHP. That's one advantage. Second advantage, PHP is comparable with almost all servers used today. So we install Linux server, but also we run a web server that continuously listens outside the request, and we particularly use Apache. Do you remember LAMP package, Linux operating machine, Apache web server, and MySQL database server, and PHP? So this is a kind of package, right? So PHP is comparable, particularly with this Apache web server. They are running very well, so many people install this as a package. Third, PHP is easy to learn and runs efficiently on the server side. So it's not very difficult to learn and test it. However, there is one critical drawback. Although it is very easy to learn, it's very, very difficult to debug. So whenever you write down 1 or 2 lines, frequently stop there and test it. That is the best strategy to run PHP program with minimal errors. Okay, so now let's talk about how to write a program using PHP. So first of all, if you want to make a PHP program, as I told you, this program is kind of a block, and you can embed this inside the HTML page. So if you look at kind of general structure of the PHP code, the file is usually with PHP extensions like .php, and if you open that file, the first part, it looks just HTML. And then in the middle, if you want to add some logic with PHP, you must start with the PHP beginning syntax. So if you use this single angle quotation question mark PHP with no space, if you add it, that means from here we are going to start PHP. So if you write down some PHP code here, at the end you must close it. So closing mark is question mark with a single angle quotation. So if you add this block mark, you can add some PHP codes. And if you add those PHP codes, those codes will be interpreted and executed in the server. So still, it may sound a little bit confusing. So let me use one example. Okay, so to develop some programs, we are going to use the same environment we have used for HTML. So let me open FileZilla first. So in FileZilla, what's the host name? Valhalla. Username. So I will use my username password. And what's the port number? 22. So let's connect. So if you successfully connect, again, you will see your home directory first. And under home, we already have a public HTML. Okay, in public HTML directory, we already have M4T1 for topic 1. So let's make a new directory. And this must be M4T2. So M4T2. So let's make M4T2 directory, and let's enter to M4T2. Okay, so inside M4T2 directory, as a first example, what we are going to do is we will create a new file, and the name of this file would be php info.php. So php info.php. So we create this file. Under M4T2, we have a php info.php file. So the file extension is .php. So it indicates this file is PHP and it must be handled by the server side. So we just made this file in the server and right click, and let's click view and edit to edit this file in Visual Studio Code. So let's open Visual Studio Code. So we have a php info.php. So again, PHP block is a program, but it will be embedded inside the HTML. The starting part is just similar to HTML. We add HTML, and let's close HTML block here. And we don't need to add any head part. In this case, directly open body, and let's close body here. And then inside the body, we can actually type any HTML. So first here, as we have learned before, how about adding one paragraph? And then here we are going to say this is HTML paragraph. Okay. After this paragraph, I want to add one line break here. And then here, instead of HTML, I want to add some PHP program. Then what we need to do? First, we have to declare from these lines, we are typing PHP programs. So to do this, you have to declare this is the beginning of PHP. So with question mark PHP. And then at the same time, you have to close it. So make a PHP block. And inside the PHP block, now you can type any PHP code. Okay, inside this PHP block, as the first example, I want to just print out certain text. So to do this, you can use echo function and followed by any text. So text must be enclosed by double quotation mark. So let's say this is my first PHP code. And each PHP code must be ended with semicolon. So I end this line with semicolon. Next line, I want to use a built-in function. The function name is Php Info Function. So with this function, if you call it, the current PHP installed in the server, all the information will be shown. So to call the function, even when you do not have a parameter, you must use this parenthesis. So with the PHP info and the parenthesis, we call this function, and that's the end of this line. So let's add a semicolon. We just want to test this very simple two-line PHP code, and these two lines are enclosed in this PHP block, and this PHP block is part of this HTML. So if your client browser requests this PHP page, what would be shown in the browser? So to test this, what we have to do? We need to save it first. So I will save it. I'm clicking Command S, or you can use Control S. And then after you save it, don't forget, go to FileZilla, and then we need to upload this. If you are using WinSP, you don't need to do that. So I will click yes. So the file is updated here. Now let's check this PHP file from the browser. So let's go to your browser. So what would be your URL address? HTTPS and the server name Valhalla, sourcevery.video, Valhalla, and the slash with tilde, your username. Now where are we? We are in the public HTML folder, right? Under public HTML, we just created the M4T2 directory. And inside the M4T2, we made PHP info.php file. So let's hit enter. Okay, so this is the output. How does it look like? It starts with this is HTML paragraph. And then as an output of your PHP code, first using echo, you can type this is my first PHP code, and followed by this, there is a pretty complex table that gives you all the information about your PHP installed in the server. So your browser actually reads certain source code. So if you check the source code, let's right click, and if you look at page source, this is the page source. Definitely it looks like HTML code. Now you understand for table, there is a table tag, tr tag, and the td tag. But did you type this? No, you did not. Then who did type this HTML code? this HTML code has been generated by the function that you call. So this explains very well how the server-side script is working. You save this file in the server, Valhalla server, and you just call PHP Info Function by adding this code, one-line code. Since there is a PHP engine installed in the server, the engine will look at this PHP code and execute it and generate a certain output. So what is the output generated by PHP engine installed in the server? This HTML code is the output. So the server-side PHP engine generated this HTML code and add this as part of your HTML. This first line, this is my first PHP code. Why we have this text? Because you actually instructed the PHP engine to type this is my first PHP code as a text. So the output is simple text here. And followed by this, as an output of this function, PHP Info Function, you have this pretty complex HTML codes generated. So again, the server generated this complete HTML page, and that complete HTML page has been sent back to your browser. And in your browser, the browser reads this HTML code, and it shows this as a kind of table format information, PHP information. So you understand how browser communicate with the server and how the server handle the PHP code. So PHP engine read the PHP code and generate a part of HTML codes and combine them all together, and how this complete HTML code is sent back to your browser, and your browser, the functionality is showing this source code as a nice format shown here in this page. Okay, so before we close this file, let me add a few more here. Not actual code, but I want to demonstrate how to add commands for the PHP. The commands will not be executed, but as a kind of note for the developer. So for example, here, adding a new echo function, something like that. So this is just a text, a message that you can add inside your code. But if you need to add more than one line of the code, here's what you can do. So with one slash, and then you add one star mark here, and then where you want to close this comment, again star and slash. Then you can add multi-line commands. For example, many times you may start with your code with some information about coding. So let's say, for example, developer, your name, and let's say date. The date is certain date. So let's say 3/11, something like that. So you can add some multi-line code, multi-line commands using this. So using this syntax, you can add some multi-line commands as well. And if you want to compare this PHP commands with HTML command, do you remember HTML command? Do you remember how to add HTML commands? So as a part of your HTML, you can also add a comment, right? In that case, single angle quotation and with two dash. And then, I forgot exclamation mark. So exclamation mark, two dash, and you add some and close it with two dash and this single angle quotation. So here you can add some comments. So let's say a new paragraph here, something like that. So let's just save this one more time, and I want to show you how does it look like on the client side or in your browser. So let's save it, upload it in FileZilla, and let's show this in the browser. So let me refresh it or hit enter one more time. So the contents itself is just the same, but if you look at source code, let's see view page source, and you can see some difference. First of all, your HTML commands is still shown here. However, can you find any PHP command here? No. So if you look at your code one more time, so now we can see there are some big differences between HTML command and PHP command. HTML command, this is part of HTML source and it will be sent to the browser. But PHP command, these commands are not even sent to the browser, right? So if you go to browser source code, we can see HTML command, but a PHP command is before this text, but we cannot find any command here. Yes, because PHP is a server-side script and everything inside the server-side script would be handled on the server, and if it's a server-side command, it will not be sent to your browser. And in your browser, even this HTML command, the browser knows this part must be hidden, so in your actual page, the command page will not be shown. Okay, so that's the first example of a PHP, and I hope now you understand what the server-side script language means. Let's move on to the next example.